The following podcast contains spoilers and adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Showdown Podcast with Corey and Vic. A debate on what movie is better, Corey's choice versus Vic's choice. They each plead their case and try to destroy the others. It's a combat of subjective opinion. I'm Brad Scott, your impartial judge, and as always, my say is final. Welcome to episode 18 of the Showdown Podcast, you cool cats, and even to you jive turkeys out there. I'm your host with the most here, B. Rizzle Scott. This week's episode, the category is Blaxploitation.
That's the only black man in the room. I approve.
It's going to be a jazzy episode.
Jazzy? Groovy, probably.
Features, I think that's a little more white hippie-ish. Features our current champion at 1-0, Corey Macho Man Miller, and his choice, Dolemite, and he is taking on the upstarting challenger.
I don't think I've ever been a champion on the show.
You haven't?
No, because you were always ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So right now
I'm reveling in this.
Our upstart. See, that's a champion veteran move. Already undercutting Vic in the intro.
Yep.
Vic, he is our Vic Miller, Black and Angry, Mr. Black and Angry himself.
That's right. Has
chosen Blacula to go up against Dolemite.
Not just Blacula, but
Wow.
This is going to be a fun episode.
Yes.
And who knows, Al Sharpton may show up by the end to reprimand us all and tell us what
Al Sharpton or maybe Don King. Since
this whole podcast is racist.
This episode is dedicated to Trayvon Martin.
Oh, Jesus.
The Showdown Podcast.
The Showdown.
I'm sorry, black folks. So, kicking this off, I'm going to jump in the ring right off the bat and tell you about Blacula.
No, you're not. We're going to start off every show like we will with your host,
pointing at me like every 5 seconds to go,
and guide to lead us through because you two fucking idiots couldn't do this shit on your own. So, we're going to start, like we do every episode, with talking about the plots. We're going to get basic backstory to the movies that we're talking about, what the movies are about, and all that good stuff. So, Vic, why don't you go ahead, since you are the challenger now.
Are you sure now so I can start now? Motherfucking wondering why I'm always angry. So, Blacula. This is the story of Prince Mamawande. That's right.
Definitely Mamawande. For that name.
All right,
I actually think I know him.
Somebody
he
named
wanted,
that?
Well, no, he wanted me. Here's the thing. He's got this deal going on where he needs to get some money over here to this country. All I have to do is give him my bank account number, and he's going to deposit, I think it's around $17 million. Now, here's the thing. I don't just get $17 million. I have to give him 16 of it back.
Right.
Once he gets over here.
Right,
but then I get to keep $1 million.
Absolutely.
For just holding on to some money.
I don't see the problem in this.
And I understand why he would choose me. I mean, I'm a very trustworthy person.
You
He probably heard about that. He probably heard the podcast.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, the guy from the Showdown.
We are popular in Africa.
Absolutely. So
Prince Mamawande, he is trying to start a revolution to end slavery. He has decided that he is pissed off and wants everyone else to know that Africa does not support slavery. So in his search to find allies in this, he finds Count Dracula. And starts to talk to him about helping him fight slavery and finds out that Count Dracula is just as white as all the other slave owners and wants to have his wife as a slave as well. So he basically kills Prince Mamawande by turning him into Dracula. And making him suffer through existence with his name tagged to him. He puts him in a coffin, locks him in, locks his wife into a room that she can't get out of, so she has to suffer and die.
Is his wife black?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she is. And not only is she black, but she's in traditional African queen's garb. Even though he's wearing a very nice...
Short hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very authentic.
You know she doesn't
Nothing
get it wet.
racist yet.
You
I'm
know she
not
doesn't
done.
get it wet, too.
Not done. Well, of course not.
You better not get any blood in my hair, Blacula. I just got this done.
Well, she doesn't make it. She doesn't make it that far.
No, she doesn't make it very far at all. So he puts him in the coffin. He curses him to forever have the hunger that will never be quenched because he will never get out of this coffin. So of course it's the white man keeping the black man down. So he then reemerges in the 70s because these two interior decorators, which are as gay as they can be. One of them has the biggest Jew fro I've ever seen in my life, but he's supposed to be a black man, so I'll give it to him.
That was an awesome fro, I will say.
Huh?
I will say that was an awesome fro.
Absolutely. It was glorious. I mean, it was beyond, like, what you would think is a fro. This motherfucker was, like, this big. It was the size
We're talking
of, like...
Dr. J size.
Yeah, it was huge. It was awesome. So they go to Transylvania, and they are buying the chateau of Count Dracula and all the interior things, and they have it shipped back to Los Angeles. And when it gets there, they decide it's a smart idea to open up the casket that has the gigantic lock on it, and then basically frees Blacula, and the rampage begins. The last thing he remembers is that he was trying to free our people, and by our people I mean black people, from slavery. So when he realizes, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. When he realizes that that it's already kind of happened, but he still doesn't like the general state of the black person in America, so he feels like he needs to fix this problem.
He would have been real shitty if he had woken up in 2014. Exactly. I can tell you that right now.
So he figures he's going to fix this problem, so he starts annihilating the gays. Anyone that
and the black,
anyone that like steps to him.
Wait, he starts killing black people too.
Yeah. I thought black crime started very early.
It started with Blacula.
The second person he killed was the black dude.
Blacula, Ferguson.
Actually, technically, the first person he killed was a black dude because he killed the fro dude, and he was supposed to be a black guy. It was Bobby from the hood.
I thought that was the second dude.
No.
I thought he killed the white dude first.
No, it was Bobby from the hood. He killed him first.
And then the taxi driver was black.
Taxi driver, he was chasing after a girl he saw, and the girl is a reincarnation. The girl's a reincarnation of his dead wife. He sees her and he's like, "Oh my god, it's my wife! She's here!" So he starts chasing her down, and the cab driver hits him, and he turns her, and it's basically a love story. It is nothing more than a love story.
I'm gonna imagine a world where vampires exist, and that happens. All you're going to hear is all the redneck vampires going, well, because all black vampires kill each other. They want to talk about us white vampires killing them, but then black vampires killing each other anyway.
Exactly. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, the whole thing is a love story. It's, man gets wife, man gets wife killed. Man turns into a vampire. Vampire finds doppelganger of wife. Vampire gets girl killed again, and then commits suicide. And that's the end of the movie. That's the whole plot of the movie. Yeah.
Suicide. I like that. That's good.
So, very simple, enjoyable movie to watch. I think all of our listeners will enjoy it.
All right, Corey, what do we got here for Dolemite?
Dolemite, on the other hand, is about a pimp baby. Lord have mercy, I did say a pimp baby. He was set up by Willie Green and was arrested and put in jail. And then one day, his friend Queen Bee, and with the help of the warden of the jail, they decide to let Dolemite out to help and capture Willie Green because Willie Green's been up to some no good shit. So he gets out and spends the rest of the movie trying to get Willie Green and trying to get his shit back, and including his club, which takes him absolutely no time. And yeah, this has got, you got kung fu fighting hookers. And you got an excellent soundtrack, which we'll get to later. And yeah, I mean, this is blaxploitation at its finest. It's revered by everyone that is a blaxploitation fan. and even in the rap community. But again, we'll get into that later.
So let's move into acting. Go ahead,
Yes.
Corey. Why don't we stick with you? Go ahead, tell us about
All right.
your cast.
As we said, Dolemite does star Rudy Ray Moore, who at the time, and actually through all his career, was a stand-up comic. This was actually a character that was in his set until they finally made it into a movie. It actually followed up with, I believe, 2 other films, Human Tornado, and I forget what the third one was. But there was 3 of them where he played the same character, and basically the same stuff would happen. He is by far not an actor.
Absolutely not an actor.
And the thing of it is, and I point this as a plus because in blaxploitation films, most of the actors, they were never any good.
That's absolutely untrue. That's absolutely untrue. You're going to tell me that okay, so crap, I just lost his name. Hayes.
Isaac Hayes?
Isaac Hayes. You don't think he's a good actor? He's an actor.
Yeah.
There are blaxploitation movies. This particular blaxploitation movie was made up because he was bored. He heard a bum tell a story and figured it would make a good movie. That's why this one exists. And the fact that he basically curses through the entire thing is why most black people are attracted to this whole movie, and that's about it. But as far as blaxploitation movie goes, there are a lot of very good actors that do blaxploitation movies because it was the thing to do at the time.
Well, it's because they weren't getting hired on major studio films because they didn't the racism, I guess, was a little bit more out in the open at that point.
I thought you were going to say for whatever reason. That's mighty white of you, Corey.
No.
Some unexplained reason.
No. This is something I saw this. I can't remember where, but they weren't financing things, and so they were actually having to go out and finance their own films, and so this was they never had the money to be able to get the good actors. Obviously, some of the actors like Isaac Hayes, I'm not saying it's a blanket statement on every single actor that was in it, but a majority of them couldn't act. And this is what you have in this one. And that's why it makes this film so good, because...
so you're going to lay back on the fact that all the people in this movie were horrible actors to defend it?
Yeah. That's what makes this movie so good. That's why it makes it so awesome. Yes, the acting is very bad.
He's pulling a rabbit on me.
The lines that they had in this film... Oh my god, I was laughing through the entire thing. And that's what made this...
You mean like you rat soup eating honky motherfucker?
Exactly, that's one of them. There was one. I've got some here. Here's $2. Get some douche powder and keep it clean for me next time. I mean, come on, that's funny. It's because that was a dude that was leaving one of the said prostitutes, and she wanted her money. Another one. This is just a simple one, but out of context, it's not as funny. But he says at one point, "What the shit is this?" I was like, "Well, that doesn't need to say again." No laughs, but at the time, it's funny. You still laugh. Another one. I'm so bad, I kick my own ass twice a day. I've quoted that for the longest time since we've watched this.
All the way since this morning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now here's a really funny one. There's a knock on the door, and it's you hear on the other side, it's the police. And the priest says, "I'm coming," and the woman that's with him says, "It's about time." I thought that was fucking hilarious. I mean, there's another one. If you ever see a ghost, cut the motherfucker, because I don't even remember why he said it, but that's just a line. The fight scenes, terribly choreographed, which lends to the campiness and the hilariousness of this film. In the beginning,
I'm just going to stand against the rope because he's basically giving you.
No,
these are all the bad things about this movie. You realize,
which is why
the most horrible thing about this movie.
Exactly, which is why it makes this movie so good. And he would agree with me if he had actually seen the film. There are the fight scenes being choreographed. It's so clear. He punches one guy and misses him by at least a good 12 inches, and the dude still flips into a trunk of a car. And then There's that whole fight scene, which is really bad, but so bad it's funny. The things that disappear and then show up again, and just another angle. Hooker's training karate, come on.
Especially when the movie's titled and his Kung Fu whatevers.
And his Kung Fu Killers.
Yeah.
His army of Kung Fu Killers.
Yeah, his army of Kung Fu Killers, and they don't even know Kung Fu, they're doing karate. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure that Chuck Norris decided that he wants his fucking credit line back off of that movie after that was done, because it was horrible. I don't know why.
I must not have seen that line, but...
This movie had some of the worst. First of all, Rudy Ray Brown, who's the main actor in this thing, or what, was it Moore?
Yes.
Yeah. Is like you said, he's a comedian, and the stuff that he does is funny, and most of it is like spoken word comedy, and it is hilarious, but he shouldn't be the actor in this movie. And like I said, the whole premise for this game, he stole it, so it wasn't even an original thing of his.
Well, like I said, it was in his act. It was in his
and he stole that act from a drunk on the corner.
Do we know that for sure?
Yes, it was stated.
Well,
yes,
you can't believe everything you read on the internet.
He said it. His own words. He was listening to this old drunk guy in the neighborhood telling the story about the story of Dolemite, and he adopted it because he liked the story so much. He turned it into a bit in his show, quote unquote. You got to look past the movie and actually look into the people. Stolen. Anyway.
All right, let's hear about your cast.
So, my cast. Starting out, the main actor in the movie is William Marshall. William Marshall is a Indiana native from Gary, Indiana, where all black people in Indiana are from, apparently. Because that is the birthplace of black people for Indiana, because that's where everyone that I know in Indiana claims that they're from. That's black. I don't understand this. Maybe you guys can fill me in.
No.
He is not only an award-winning actor, but he is a true thespian and actor. He has done Othello. He traveled all over the world acting, and he could act circles around Rudy Ray there. Just so you know. Other actors in it, obviously he doesn't have, and these aren't a lot of people that you're going to know because they are black actors from the early 60s and 70s, late 60s and 70s, but they were in a lot of shows, Mod Squad. These are all shows that are obviously before us, but they were prominent black figures in acting at the time. The acting in the movie was much better than Shy, who you waiting for? Dolemite. Who? Dolemite, motherfucker. You heard her? Come on. Horrible. At least they had a conversation in here that actually led to the story, continued on with a premise, aided to the actual storyline of the movie about what was going on. I mean, it was a horror movie that wasn't taken too seriously. The actors in it didn't seem like they weren't overacting at times.
They didn't take it too seriously. Oh man, this movie they were so serious about this. They were going for Oscars. They thought that this was their chance at stardom. I didn't laugh.
Which part are you talking about?
I'm talking about the whole film.
I know, but in particular, give me an example of what you mean.
Oh, you can start with that opening scene where it's set in Dracula's castle. And they just play it so serious. And it's like they kept that same tone throughout the whole film. It just wasn't a fun film. It was just
the points in the movie that I believe you're discussing were them giving you the plot of the story, giving you the background, giving you the intent of what the movie was going to be about, so you knew who the character was. That was the introduction of the character. You had to know that he was stuffy. But going on from there, you're going to tell me that the two gay guys were not hilarious and didn't give you that idea of like this is really kind of how people.
They were only in two scenes until they were killed off.
And you're going to tell me that they were taking themselves seriously when the cab driver came back to life, was running down the hall at the guy with her hair like gloriously flailed out behind her, screaming at a guy. Come on!
That's the one time I laughed through the whole film. I was like,
and he was taking himself completely seriously when he was doing the skateboard attack as vampire.
Do you think that
not
notion
overseers
of taking it too seriously or not taking it too seriously was maybe a cause of direction in the movie. So speaking of that, let's move on to directors.
Now I like what you did there.
Nice transition.
Vic, why don't we go ahead and start with you on director?
Directors. Directed by... Hold on. That was actually...
This is not building a strong case for your argument.
It was by William Crane. William Crane was
points to Corey.
William Crane was a UCLA film school graduate. Was the first actual black man to graduate from an actual film school, and went on to direct many things that I believe you probably watch and enjoy. Dukes of Hazzard, The Mod Squad.
Wait, the guy that did Blacula?
Yes.
Did Dukes of Hazzard?
Yes, sir. Directed Dukes of Hazzard. What? Yeah, come on. Tell me you didn't watch Dukes of Hazzard and love it. Yeah, good direction, right? Exactly. Oh, yeah?
I did.
Then you're racist.
Bunch of rednecks driving around in a car with a Confederate flag on it?
So it's still around to today. So there was some strong direction points. There were actually points in the movie. The guy that actually wrote the movie had put into the movie that he wanted to make them more. The whole thing was supposed to be a lot more ghetto, and from his direction, he turned it into more of an urban, but urban professional group of people rather than the ghettoifying it like Bones. Another bad Dracula blaxploitation movie. Also, the fact that the direction was between him and Marshall was that he wanted to. They turned the character from Andrew Brown, who I don't know if you know what him as an Andy is, but that whole thing, I kind of looked that up to find out what that was all about. I've never seen it before, but it's very...
Racist?
I don't even want to talk about that show. But originally, the original character's name was Andrew Brown. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, we're not doing that.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
We're not doing that at all. Actually, it wasn't Wikipedia. I actually watched a YouTube video about an interview that he did. So, shut up.
You're going to lose a point for that, Corey.
So,
it is on Wikipedia.
He talked about the fact that they were trying to make it really ghetto, but he didn't want to do that, and he refused to do the part if they didn't let him change it. So he actually changed it to Prince Mamawande, made him a African prince, and then forced him into doing it that way. And the director followed. He actually said, "I agree with this, and I'm not filming it if we don't do it that way." So, and since blaxploitation movies are all about showing that. They always have something to do with against the grain, against government, against the way things are done.
The white man.
It was a good way to do it. So, great director.
Corey, what about you?
Dolemite was directed by Derville Martin, who went on to do his only other film that he directed was Disco 2000. I believe that was the name of it. Obviously hasn't done anything else. He was more of an actor than anything through the 70s. And 60s. And I'm not positive on this, but I thought I saw in a documentary that he was actually friends with Rudy Ray Moore.
Yeah, they were friends. Everybody in his movie were his friends.
Yeah. So this is basically like a 70s Pootie Tang.
No, it's better than Pootie
character.
Tang.
But I'm talking about just as far as it's a comedian who had a character that he came up with,
right?
And then made a movie out of that character, and basically used all of his friends to be in the movie.
Right?
That's exactly.
And at the same time, it's also very independent. Very independent film. Yeah, it's blaxploitation. It falls under that category, but it's also if you were to put that in today's society, that would be the relevant of. Me directing a film and getting people I know to do the production and the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, I mean,
except you could probably get funding.
Oh, they got funding. I mean, they had money. They had money.
Well, that leads us into production. So why don't we stick with you, Corey, and you can talk about the production. The production. They used a lot of. I think a lot of stuff that they had access to was just really...
They should have used more CGI.
Yeah, because they had, with their $100,000 budget, they had a lot of money to work with that. They didn't have the money, unlike Blacula did. Blacula had $500,000, the $500,000 budget, and was backed by MGM,
mm-hmm. Which proves it's a much better movie.
Let me say this. They're backed by MGM, but MGM only gave them $500,000. The movie still wasn't good. Dolemite only had $100,000.
And the movie was not good.
And had no backing at all.
And the movie was not good.
But it's more... There are more people reference Dolemite than they do Blacula. It's like, it's not that they haven't heard of Blacula. It's not that
they were distributed by Dimension Pictures and Xenon Pictures, which are both mainstream at the time production companies.
Xenon is out of business.
90% of them are out of business now. It just happens that MGM was more successful than the ones that backed your. So what happened was they backed your pony instead of mine, and your pony died. They had to shoot it.
But Dimension probably did. I don't know the facts on this, so I'm saying probably. They probably didn't come along until much later after production, and probably
their set is there
because if
Dimension Pictures was the original distribution company. Xenon came on in 2005.
Okay, when did Dimension come on?
They were the original. They were originals. They were the 1975. They're the ones who did it.
Well,
they made the movie. They're the ones that they were the distributor of the movie.
All right, then I'll see that, and I'll say that they are nothing compared to MGM. And MGM couldn't even do anything with Blacula as far as the production. You would think with MGM giving them all the money that they would have put up a better production, and they didn't.
Okay, let's talk production of your movie. First scene, opening scene. What's wrong with this picture? Yeah, that laugh is all. That laugh is all I have to say. He's sitting on this. He's supposed to be in prison, mind you, prison. So he's sitting on top of this thing. His buddy's sitting there playing dominoes, which he's not even playing dominoes. He's making a domino tower and playing Jenga with it. They have a camera that is apparently sitting on a tripod outside of the jail cell, looking underneath of what seems to be a bar, which is in frame. Instead of moving it forward and correcting that oversight, they just filmed it from underneath of that bar. Horrible production value. Let's talk about this one. He's driving in the car in the back seat. The chicks are giving him a fluff. He's having a good old time. He sees one of the girls sees he's being followed. Okay, so he jumps out of the car and goes, "Girls, give me my gun." So they give him his gun. His gun does not have a clip in it. There's no bullets in this gun. He runs off to the side of the car, which the long shot shows there's a clip there. The other car pulls up right next to them. Okay?
It disappears.
It disappears. By the time he gets done, it's gone. But these motherfuckers walk up to the window and is like, "Where's Dolemite? Where's Dolemite?" They're looking in the window. One of them has his head in the window past where Dolemite was sitting and still does not see Dolemite is in that car. Horrible acting, horrible production.
No, because Dolemite got out of the car. Hold on.
Yeah.
Dolemite got out of the car. He got out of the car. They let him out before they came up, before they pulled over to the side.
No,
the funny thing that you
they
didn't
stopped,
mention,
he got out.
I know. They stopped, he got out and was hiding in the bushes.
There were no bushes.
There were.
No.
He was hiding in the bushes.
When he starts shooting that dude who's dance, motherfucker,
I know.
there was a cliff there.
I know that.
Bushes.
I know it. That's what's funny about this. That's the thing you're trying to avoid.
The production value is crap.
And that's
they
why it makes
keep track of the movie.
It's so bad. It's come around full circle to being good.
Argument. Production value. You can't use that as an excuse for production value.
In this movie, you can. In this movie, you can.
All right, so let's. My final one for this, and I'll let you have your time. Is the same scene. He gets arrested, goes to jail. Actually, I got one more I'm going to throw in there. He goes to jail. It's the same jail cell as he was in when he was in prison, but he's only at the police station. And they still screw up because when they go and close the door, the camera's on that same tripod in front of that same thing. You see the dude's hand come into frame and close the door. Several scenes that boom mic operator should have been fired because the entire movie, he's like, "Move over, motherfucker, before I break these hush puppies off in your ass." Whatever the hell he said, but the entire time that boom mic is going ding, ding, ding.
Yes. That's why it's so fun. That's why...
As a filmmaker, would you have allowed this to happen? Would you be okay with this? Would you put a movie out that had all that in it? Because it wasn't on purpose. You can't tell me they did it on purpose.
No.
Exactly.
No. I wouldn't. But that's the thing about this movie. This movie was so that just adds to the campiness. And not only that, film that came out a few years ago, Black Dynamite. It was they did stuff like that on purpose because of what happened in this. They saw that and saw how funny it was, and so they're actually being what's that word I'm looking for? It's an homage. It's an homage to Dolemite.
To how bad they made that movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did it on purpose.
Yeah, it sucked.
Well, let's talk about the music, guys. Let's talk about the music. Corey kind of got pinned up against the ropes in that last round. Let's let you take a second to recover. Vic, tell us about the music of Blacula.
So Gene Page was the music director for this. I can't think of the word for the person that does that.
Composer?
The composer. Worked with many great acts. The music in it, there weren't a lot of. It wasn't like there was a lot of particular songs. There was a lot of jazz, a lot of funk, just guitar riffs, things like that.
And a score,
movie.
more of a score than a soundtrack.
And so, but the guy who created is like a legend. He's worked with Barry White. Come on, now, that's probably enough. Luther Vandross, the Supremes, Four Tops.
I like how he hadn't read along yet, so he saw Barry White, and then he was trying to find the other ones, but he knew he had to talk.
Because Barry White is
that
the man.
should be enough.
That's it.
But here's the other four. Here's the other four that I just now saw that I can read.
Hey, I can read off of a page just like he can. There's no shame in my game. So yeah, it came down to the fact that and it was actually one of the things that was brought up when they won, because it is an award-winning movie, by the way. Yeah, go ahead, dispute it.
We're talking about music.
Yeah,
right
yeah, but that was one of the things that actually got them the award. The score was one of the reasons why.
What award was it?
It was a Saturn Award. It's an award that's
It's
given
a sci-fi
to science.
award.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sci-fi
that's
horror.
pretty prestigious in sci-fi community. I'm
Sci-fi
surprised
horror.
I knew about that before you guys did. I called that out in like episode 3, I believe.
What, the Saturn?
The Saturn
Yeah,
Award?
I think in the Jurassic Park episode. And you guys were like,
Yeah.
"What's this? They're giving them a car. They're giving them
I don't remember saying that, but okay. I'll
Yeah,
go
it
with
would've
it.
been
But
fun.
either way, you know what it is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. It's right there with Jurassic
And it was a
Park.
lot of funk.
Exactly.
So Corey, what about your music?
LL Cool J to save you this time.
No,
buddy.
no. Actually, the composer in my film was Arthur Wright, who also he did the sequel to Human Tornado, which is not really a sequel, but it's the one I was trying to say earlier that had Dolemite in it. He also was a writer for When a Man Loves a Woman, which was featured in the movie The Crying Game. A very...
Wait, is that the Michael Bolton song? When a man loves a
That's the song, but I don't know if it's Michael Barton or not.
it could be. It could very well be.
Quick, look it up, Corey.
Because The Crying Game came out in 92, so...
I'm Jack Sparrow.
A lot of the rest of the movie though had a lot of funk and R&B like type of music in it. It didn't really have any lyrics except in the club scene where again, adding to the acting, the singer was lip syncing the song but was not doing a very good job, and just so that
I love your accidental greatness.
yeah. Man, I tell you what, this movie for me is classic. And when we picked this topic,
Well, let's go ahead. Let's that's your hand. Let's start that as your haymaker.
Okay.
Let's do closing arguments.
Okay, when we picked this category, I went right to this film because I absolutely love this film. And yes, as we've said before, there is a lot of bad things about it, but at the same time, those bad things make the film better because it's so funny, and you don't even look at it as bad anymore. As being, oh my god, this is so bad! I can't believe I'm watching this. You're like, oh my god, this is freaking hilarious! It's so funny. Blacula, on the other hand, I was, you took something. You took a basic plot line from Bram Stoker's Dracula and forced it into this, so it really wasn't even original. A lot of as far as the subplots go, and it was.
How often was Dracula in L.A.? And
you know what I mean. They just relocated him, but that's the basic subplot that, he comes back and finds somebody that looks exactly like his former spouse, and then she's killed in the end. Spoiler, and it's basically the same. It's just basically the same thing. They just tweaked a lot of the other stuff around it.
There it is, folks. All right. The numbers have been added up, and we're going to let you know who wins right after this break. All right. Hey, guys. Ways that you can keep up with us. Let's go ahead and start. Corey, tell them where to find you on social media.
You can find me on Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter at MKOGonzo. You can also find our show at The Showdown Pod on Twitter. You can also find it, The Showdown Podcast, on Facebook. Like us and follow us.
Also catch Corey's new movie coming out, Air Bud 6. Turn a buddy play. Vic, where can we find you at?
Hiding from whatever movie that is. You can find me on, let's start with the gaming. I am on Xbox at Black and Angry. That's BLAQ and Angry. Play anybody at anything. On Instagram, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. I'm Miller King 51. Can't miss me. And on Facebook, you can find us at The Podcast.
That's not your part.
Nope. Step it online.
And I challenge you to checkers. You said you play anybody, anything, anywhere. I'll challenge you to checkers.
Right here. That's our next episode.
March 7th, 2 o'clock, Park Bench. I'll tell you the park later.
It's whatever city I'm actually performing in. That's nowhere near here.
And I am available on Twitter and Instagram at Indy Brad Scott, INDY Brad Scott, and Facebook Brad Scott. Click like. I don't pay for advertisements, so I'm not going to bombard your page with posts. And I guess this next week, I'm not sure where I'll be, because I'm not sure when this is on, and I don't have my schedule in front of me.
So poor planning on your part.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Let's just guess and say it's before Valentine's Day, right?
This will go up actually on the 5th.
Okay, so tomorrow night and Saturday night, you can catch me at Crackers Comedy Club in Broad Ripple, opening up for Dave Coulier. Cut it out. And the 13th, I will be at the Harlequin Theater in Columbus, Indiana, and the 14th, I will be with my girlfriend celebrating Valentine's Day in the most romantic place in the world, Martinsville, Indiana.
Kentucky.
All right. Also follow the show. Give us a like. You can follow us on Twitter and soon to be Instagram at The Showdown Pod, and we're available on Facebook, The Showdown Podcast. Click us a like. Send us a message. Send us a tweet. Let us know what you think of the show. All 5 of you, one of you at least, has to have a social media account that can just at least just favorite a tweet or something. We could
retweet.
We could use the exposure.
Thumbs up.
So you guys are begging now. That's something I did. Remember? And y'all got on me for that.
But I did it with class.
We did with style.
Back with the winner after this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Corey Miller's kitchen, and we go to the judges for the results of the fight. Judge Brad Scott, the only judge, scores the bout 4 rounds in favor of 2 to Blacula.
Yes.
So here's where
The reparations have begun.
You might have noticed Vic did not get an opportunity for a haymaker. I kind of felt that was beating the guy up in the corner. You know, I felt like you were running the scoreboard up on him, and I actually gave. So to break down the rounds, plot, I gave Vic won 6-3. Acting was a push, so I guess technically it was 3-1, but acting was a push at 4 apiece. Direction, Vic destroyed you. You mentioned that your director did one other failed movie and kept saying that's it. So
I know that feeling.
And we also had production, Vic 7, you got 3. Because again, to Vic's credit, while I may have wanted, your argument made me want to see your movie more, but he won the argument. Because when it comes to production, of course, having a guy's hand in the shot, a boom mic lowering down, makes it entertainment and wonderful.
Of course.
But we're arguing who has the better production. Vic won that argument there. Now, that's not always going to be the case. But, yeah, if it's that lazy. And then, music, I gave Vic a 5. Corey, I gave you a 0.
On which one?
On music.
Oh.
I didn't hear you say one thing relevant to a positive argument on behalf of your movie.
Yeah, I didn't.
It was just, well, there was a lot of funky music. There wasn't music per se. It was just a lot of funk. So
you know your director was the bad guy in the movie, right?
And then the haymaker round, I scored Corey 5, Vic 0, just because I felt like it was almost a hate crime. And so I wanted to give you some points. So those are all pity points. But they're your points. They mean nothing. But they're yours. And so, yeah. And I mean, honestly, you kind of had to figure Vic was going to win the blaxploitation.
No, I got that. Back off, punk. Don't be trying to steal my gig.
Way down in the jungle. Down, steps on the signified lucky.
I think we can play this out of there too, by the way, because nobody
Yeah.
So what do we...
So I have my first victory under my belt. I'm a happy man. I can be not quite as black and angry. But
What are you, black and slightly angry now?
well, black and a little perturbed. That's about it. But
I don't think you'll get any less black.
definitely not going to get less black. I am two-tone, though. We've had this conversation with a couple people in my lifetime, so. But,
So you just have to keep your hands in
yeah,
front of you.
yeah. My hands bottom of my
What's
feet. I actually had a chick ask me, in all honesty, when I was probably in my 20s, I worked at the CPA's office. And this chick, this like country bumpkin chick, walks up to me and goes, I know the bottoms of your hands and your feet are white. Is the bottom of your dick white too?
Oh my god.
I was like, I don't know what to say. I really wanted to say you want to see, but I was already married at the time, so I was like, I ain't doing that.
Oh my god.
Should have been like, you know what? It's actually fuchsia. Really, really strange.
I don't know how it got that way, but
It's teal. I don't know why. I think
Right
something's
now it's
wrong with me.
blue.
no, that's the balls. Completely different thing. So, how did we get to that?
You brought it up.
Well, moving on.
You did kind of jump in.
Moving on. So, this week's television watching has been rather interesting. The Agent Carter. I'm in slightly, but not really, because it is just a filler point, and it's just kind of the whole point of them using Jarvis as an actual character from Howard Stark's storyline. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's not bad. It's just kind of, it's dry. To me, it's really dry, and you don't want a dry woman. So
I wonder what they're gonna do as far as the whole Jarvis thing, because we know that he ends up becoming the name of Tony's computer. But it's like, is he just named after Jarvis? Is there significance there? But there's only we said there's 8 episodes total, so we've been 3, so we got 5 episodes left. I'm watching it. I'm not gonna not watch it.
I want to know when Tony Stark was actually born. I'm gonna have to look that up, because that might fuck up this whole show.
I don't know. I mean,
Where's
what is
his
this?
kid at?
Wait, this is the 30s, right?
Yes.
And so Howard Stark is, what would you say?
I'd say he's probably maybe 35.
So, and he's not married
No.
at this point. So, yeah, I never thought about that, but they may be writing themselves into a corner.
These are things that we must think about. You ever find yourself writing yourself into a corner in your comedy?
No. I'm a brilliant writer. You know what I think about the whole thing?
What?
I think you guys are fucking nerds.
Yeah.
I'd like you to go out to the parking lot with me, and we can discuss that further.
You trying to show me your teal dick?
Exactly. And my
I'm
blue balls.
excited because Parks and Rec is back for their final season.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Is that supposed to be based in Indiana?
Yeah.
Well, it's a fictional town in India.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but there's like a lot of shows that either are based in or come back to Indiana constantly.
The Middle is another
Yep.
one.
The first season of Saved by the
Yep,
Bell.
I was getting ready to say that one. Yep. Actually,
And the whole
no.
school just transferred to California.
You mean the first season of Good Morning Miss Bliss?
Yeah.
No. The whole school didn't transfer. Just Zach, Screech, Lisa, and Mr. Belding, which no one ever addressed. Like, that was he was kind of the creepiest. Like, I always thought him, Mr. Feeney, all these lovable characters were kind of creepy when you look back
Why are
at
they
them.
always hanging out with these little
Well,
kids?
and like when the kids would go on vacation, Mr. Belding would show up and always be staying at the same hotel somehow. And like Mr. Feeney had that creepy. He kept teaching. Like every year, these kids got to a new fucking school, and
would
they're just
move.
what's Mr. Feeney doing here? It's like by college, you should figure out. Like,
Yeah,
and
he's stalking you.
it should be one. You should be saying this to a reporter
He bought a house next door to you
or
so
to
that he can look directly
a
at
police
you.
officer.
But the other one, what's the? There's the the
One Day at a Time was set in Speedway, Indiana.
I never see that show.
Yeah.
One Day at a Time.
Bonnie Franklin, and she starred in it along with Eddie Van Halen's ex-wife. What's her name?
Is that the one with the
Schneider?
the butler guy? Not the butler. The house.
No, there was no
kid.
butler.
Mr. Belvedere.
No, that's completely different. The handyman.
Yeah.
It was a
Schneider.
handyman. Yeah, okay.
With the
I know
mustache.
what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
These were a lot of white people shows.
Yep.
Like, I was watching Good Times.
What do you think of
at the
Parks and
time.
Rec?
I actually like Parks and Recreation. It's actually a really good show.
I love Parks and Rec. I don't like where the season started, though.
Why?
I get the idea of them going forward in time a couple years, but I'm not digging them taking sides in them because, you know, what season is this? Like 7th? So for 6 seasons, they've all been friends. But now they're all like taking sides. I just, as a fan of the show, I just don't like seeing them. And I don't think it's going to last the entire season. I think in the end it's going to turn around. They're all lovey-dovey again at the very end of the last episode. But I just didn't like those first 2 episodes of the season. I just like
Chris Pratt's great and everything.
Oh yeah,
The part where Aziz Ansari's talking to the girl when they go to Chicago, and he's like, "Yeah, Andy just moved here for a new job," and she's like, "Oh, really? What job? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Head coach of the Chicago Bulls." That's so funny.
Completely mixing that shit.
yeah. I have a feeling though when it ends though, I'm just going to be sad.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like The Office and
More so than
Scrubs
I hated the final couple seasons of The Office.
Scrubs I loved.
I
You
was
have to
glad.
go. No, I think what happened with you, and this happened to me too. I think you couldn't get used to the fact that the show didn't have Michael Scott. If you go back and rewatch the seasons, I promise you they're better than because when I initially would watch like that first season after Carell left, I was just like, it's just not the same show. Like it's such a big, gap. Yeah, it's such a big gap in the show, such a big hole. But when I rewatched it and watched,
There was a lot of that, but at the same time, too, I thought a lot of the writing was just like half. It just seemed half-assed, or it's just, I don't know if it was recycled. I can't remember now. It's been so long since I watched it. But at the time,
I thought they kind of went to some good. Like they had the whole Jim and Pam thing where they were upset. You had the camera guy that got involved.
Yeah, see,
stuff
that was
like
just,
that.
I was just like, really?
But I mean,
It's like they're trying to force. I felt that they were just trying to force drama into it. And
I haven't watched a lot of The Office. I know it's a remake from the British version. Mm-hmm. How much of that actually tracked from? Like, did they?
The first season.
That was it. And then it became its own show, like fully for their own company.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally.
and I mean, Ricky Gervais can say what he wants. Michael Scott played that role way better than he ever did. That was Michael Scott's role.
Yeah.
If you rank him, Michael Scott will be number 1. He is Michael Scott.
Yeah, I'm not.
Did I just say Michael Scott will be number 1?
Yes, you
Steve
did.
Carell will be the number 1 Michael Scott.
Yeah. I thought Ricky Gervais's character as Brent was good too.
But it's nowhere
hard.
near Michael. The episode Diversity Day
Oh, God.
where he starts quoting the Chris Rock bit. And actually says...
So there's just something funny about this little white guy quoting Chris Rock. I haven't seen it, and I'm already like kind of...
You haven't seen that?
No.
So he's talking... So they have this guy come in. It's actually Larry Williams who's getting ready to take over... or not Larry Williams. Why am I blanking on his name? It's the black dude that used to work for The Daily Show. Is it Larry Wilhelm?
I've seen
Wilmore, sorry, Larry Wilmore. Larry Wilmore plays this like a corporate, sensitivity training type guy. And he comes in for Diversity Day because all of the people in the office had complained about Michael Scott reciting Chris Rock bits in the office, and they asked Kevin to recite the bit, and he's like, "Well, when one it's the infamous black people versus and he's like." When one group of black people wants to go to a movie, well, then there's this other group of black people, and they're always really causing a mess of things. And Michael Scott he's butchering. It's every time black people want to have a good time, some ignorant ass niggas fuck it up. And he says it, and I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, "Holy shit!" Steve Carell
just dropped the
N-word, and it's so funny. To this day, I can watch it knowing I know the timing of it and everything, and it makes me laugh. One of the best scenes in television history. So funny. And then the show just got better from there.
I'll check it out.
What would you say is your top 5 shows? TV shows.
All time?
Yeah.
I wish you wouldn't have asked me this. I've got...
You have to come off the top of your head. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
I actually have a list of my top...
You don't even have to be particular order. Just your top 5 shows.
My top 100, I actually have it written out somewhere. So
pick 5 shows.
Come on.
All right. Shut up.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, I do know Doctor Who is number 1. Number 1. I think I had Sopranos up there. What else was up there? I can't remember the other 3.
Just pick 3 other shows you like. You're making this way too hard.
You said my top 5.
Okay, well then just give me 5 shows you like.
Well, on the top of your head, if they're the ones you think of first, they're kind of your top 5 shows.
Yeah.
So give the first 5 shows that pop in your head.
Okay. So we'll go with
Doctor Who, Sopranos.
I don't even... There's nothing... Go to Vic.
All right, you take...
I'll take some time.
Take a moment.
Okay,
look for your list. 18. Absolutely one of my favorite TV shows ever. I would probably say the animated Batman series. Great show. Great writing, believe it or not. Like, the writing for that show is phenomenal. The actors in that show is phenomenal. Currently, right now... crap, I just lost the name of it. I watch fucking like crazy. I forgot what it is now. My brain just farted completely. Apparently, we can get to the first 2, and then we fuck up.
Okay.
All right, let's hear your top 5, Mister.
Yeah.
Mister, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Game of Thrones. That's
okay.
There. There's one called House of Cards. You've seen that? Okay, it's a political...
I know it's got Kevin Spacey, right?
Political thing. That thing is fucking tits. And believe it or not, it's kind of a TV show, Californication.
Oh, yeah, with David Duchovny.
That show is fucking awesome. I love that show. And I've watched it like over and over again. It's a great show.
Are you ready for...
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. The Sopranos, my favorite show probably ever. The Simpsons, Entourage, Monday Night Raw, and Seinfeld.
South Park didn't hit?
I could honestly do like a top 10.
Yeah, just keep going.
There would be no 1 through 10. Yeah, South Park, Scrubs, the old Batman show with Adam West.
Oh, yeah.
Love that. Cheers, Family Guy put up there. I mean, Futurama, I love.
Futurama was a good one.
And I'll tell you this, show that's really underrated, Friends. I never watched it when it was on. I just made fun of it. And I was like, yeah, it's a really white person show. It's funny.
I can't do it. My wife and my girls watch it so much, I just can't do it anymore.
Whenever I wake up, we sleep with our TV on whenever I wake up. A lot of times it's on because we keep it on
Friends.
Nickelodeon. Yeah, Friends is on.
Nick at Night.
Nick at Night because it's on at Nick at Night.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Nick and Night's moved up to Friends already? I remember when it was
Oh
like
God!
fucking...
It's up to Friends and it's up to How I Met Your Mother.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
which I
come
watched.
a long way
which
because-
I don't ever watch that show. Never did. I watched one episode
Like
last night.
Newhart used to be
all
on
but the
there.
last season.
Like Newhart used to be on there for like the longest
Yeah.
time in shows like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I watched an episode of How I Met Your Mother last night and was dying laughing.
You know what's my new favorite show? The Goldbergs. With
I've watched a couple episodes of that.
With Jeff Garland and the old guy that was on the show about the magazine. Just Shoot Me.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember his name.
He was the boss. And that
And
show
Wendy-
is fucking
Wendy
funny.
McCovey.
Yeah, that show is fucking funny. I think it's the funniest sitcom that's on right now.
Better than Modern Family?
Yes. I look forward to what. Oh, you know what other one I have to put? The League. I'd have to put The League in my top
Yeah.
10.
The
I fucking love that
League's
show.
up there on my list, too. Some of the other ones, this is not in any order. Game of Thrones is obviously.
Louis.
I couldn't get into Louis. I watched
Really?
It, yeah, I just couldn't do it.
You have to watch. Well, each episode, it's weird because he hasn't followed really any formula. Each episode seems to be kind of its own entity. It seems like, and then he does little arcs where he'll do 3 episodes that all intertwine. But the episode with the heckler from the first season is amazing. It's where he's at the club doing a spot at the Comedy Cellar, I think it is, and this woman starts heckling him, and he destroys her, including at one point where he calls her mom a cunt and says that her mom should have been. They should have sued the doctor for malpractice for letting her be born. And that her mom was a cunt for not aborting her. And that the day she was born, a man walked by the room and said, "Oh, look at that cunt coming out of that cunt's cunt."
God.
And then the woman confronts him after the show, and she's like, "You went too far, and I didn't deserve that," and blah, blah, blah. And Louis goes into this wonderful speech that they should play before every show at a comedy club where he says, "Hey, you probably have a really happy life, right? You probably have great days and fulfilled nights and everything." She's like, "Yeah, I have a wonderful life." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Comics, we don't. We're miserable people. And we have 15 minutes a week sometimes. That is our happiness. That's our happy place. And you took away that 15 minutes. So how can you be a good person?" Oh, it's fucking brilliant. It's everything I've wanted to say to people after shows.
Are you sure you haven't said that to people after shows?
I've used that speech once.
In one
I
way
used
or
that
another.
speech once. And it was just because this girl, it was a bar show, and she just was so adamant after the show, just wouldn't leave me alone and kept getting in my face. So I pulled that speech.
About
out.
what? About something you said?
Well, because I ripped her apart. She kept talking. She kept, before I got to my first punchline, she yelled that I sucked. And her friends were annoyed. She was one of those, her friends you could tell were embarrassed to be with her.
Oh my God.
Type deal. Yeah, and then so I kind of I gave her about 5 minutes where I was just ignoring her and trying to talk over her, and then she wasn't going to let up, so I don't remember exactly what I said to her, but
You were like Will Ferrell in Old School, where you just started spitting out something and you went out of your body for a second.
I
then
probably
you came
called
back.
her some variation of a whore, or trash, or cheap, or something like that. I probably said something along the lines of, "I bet you used to be hot because women hate." That's something that cuts deep for a woman. I bet you used.
Was she older?
Yeah, she was probably. Well, she was probably 30s. Early, that's what made it better. Early 30s.
Because that's usually the breaking point for them. They're like, "I'm getting old."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it just. But no, I love. And then there's other weird episodes of Louis where he goes to the dentist and the dentist basically blows him, I think, or something, lays under the gas, and he goes off, and it's basically the whole episode is this hallucination after being put under. It's still a good show.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of our show. We will be back in a couple of weeks.
And I will go ahead and let you know what's going to be going on in a couple weeks, because that's my job.
All right. Tell us.
What are we doing in a couple weeks? It's our Oscar episode. We're going to be making Oscar predictions, and we are going to have 2 Best Picture winners battling each other. Corey Macho Man Miller will be going with,
The Godfather.
and Black and Angry will be going with Gladiator.
Glad he ate her?
What?
Oh.
And you know what we're going to be asking you all through...
This ain't Sparta, bitch.
You know what we're going to be asking you all through Vic's argument.
And I'm not talking about the one with what's his name? Fucking black guy. Damn black guys. Remember that? There was a movie called Gladiators with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, well, that's because it's a black movie.
Yeah.
If you're done stepping on my joke, you know what we're going to be saying a lot through Vic's argument next week
Nope.
after he makes his point.
What will we be saying?
Are you not entertained?
I will be
Is this not why you're here?
I will be sure to make sure that that's available.
Spania.
I'm dreading having to watch this.
Blackman. And I have to sit through Godfather?
Yeah, Godfather's the masterpiece.
So it's the Italians versus the Romans in a couple of weeks
And we know how that fight ended.
here on the Showdown Podcast.
Yeah, the Romans controlled all of Europe for the longest time.
Hey,
The Italians couldn't do shit about it.
Thanks for listening to the Showdown Podcast.
See y'all.
We appreciate. Oh, hold on.
Oh, yeah, something.
Good night.
We're gonna have to edit this
Good fight.
around. We're gonna have to edit around a lot of this because this is terrible.
No, this is going in. See y'all.